Hi there, my name is Corey Garrard, and welcome to Monster Wars Battles. Now you will see and hear the tall man fight the little green leprechaun. Okay, the scene now begins at a big white house which is seen near a cemetery. It now appears to be daytime as a tall man is seen heading towards the mortuary building. Now the tall man is seen opening a carrying bag and then looks at many pieces of gold. He then closes the bag up and walks inside of the building. We then see a hooded midget come out and stand guard over this mortuary. Then all of a sudden, a leprechaun is seen appearing inside of the cemetery. He is a short, ugly fellow that wears a green costume suit with a hat. We now see the leprechaun reply, me gold must get me gold and punish the thief with grievous scold. The leprechaun is then seen hurrying past the cemetery headstones as he runs to the mortuary building. Now the scene quickly goes inside of a cremation room where two men are seen melting down the gold. Now the tall man is seen watching this process. We then see one of the tall man's helpers bring over 4 round spear mows. Then another helper is seen pouring the liquid gold into the mows. We then return outside of this mortuary and see the leprechaun fast approach. This ugly little guy is now seen attacking the short hooded guardsman. The leprechaun now conjures a magic tie which wraps around the guard's body. Then the leprechaun grabs the brown robe and then is seen putting it on. Then we see this hooded leprechaun enter this mortuary. We then go again into the cremation lab, which also connects to a secret portal dimension. The tall man is again seen observing the spear's construction. Now the two evil helpers are seen putting 4 tiny brains inside of these metal balls. There are also weapon devices clearly seen inside of them. We then see the tall man walk over and his 2 human helpers express fear. Now 5 tiny hooded slaves come from the portal room as the tall man raises the spears with his mind powers. Those spears are then seen floating in the air while their infusion lasers seal them shut. Now the tall man waves his right hand and then the 4 golden spears are seen activating. They now fly around this cremation room fast because the tall man has told them to do so. It now appears that something is wrong because we see the tall man expressing a concerned look. He then replies, "It seems we have an intruder, so you deal with it." Now the 5 short slaves are seen quickly leaving after receiving those orders. Then we return to a disguised leprechaun, which is now seen roaming through the mortuary halls. Now suddenly, this short magical takes off his borrowed robe and replies, "This disguise I do not need, but for me gold I'll make them bleed." Then those 5 short slaves suddenly appear and are seen surrounding the leprechaun. Those short helpers are wearing hoods over their heads as the leprechaun replies, "So more of you there are now. Give me gold every bit, every bar." Then the short slaves attack the leprechaun as seen doing so. We then see the leprechaun quickly conjure a blinding green flash, and the scene returns to the tall man. Then all of a sudden, 3 silver spears are seen appearing. They came out of the portal dimension room. Now one of the tall man's human helpers opens a door and lets the spears out. We then go to the leprechaun, who's now seen fighting those other short foes. Then the leprechaun conjures a big green band and quickly hurls it around those hooded slaves. The band is now seen tightening more as it binds the tall man's midgets. Now we see the leprechaun reply, "Why fight? You're much like me, should have joined in me gold search spree." Then the leprechaun is seen turning from the hooded midgets because he's heard a noise. Then 3 silver balls are seen coming around the corner, and they fly towards the magic midget. We now see the leprechaun reply, "What sort of magic are you?" Now the silver spears fly in quickly, and the leprechaun makes them crash into the walls. We saw him use a mind power ability to do so. Now the leprechaun is seen hurrying away, and he runs where those spears came from. As he proceeds on, he's heard replying, "Soon must get me gold before they flee the ones that stole." We then see the return to the tall man, who's now seen standing inside of the portal dimension room. He then appears to be staring at the 2 portal posts as his new golden spears hover above him. We then go just outside of this portal room, and the leprechaun is now seen arriving. He then quickly opens the door and enters this cremation room. Then we see the tall man turn around to face the action. Then the 2 evil henchmen charge the leprechaun, and one puts his suit jacket over the leprechaun's head. Now both are seen picking it up and throwing it on the cremation table. The leprechaun now appears to be covered up as the men quickly slide the table into the hot furnace. Now the 2 giant leprechaun hands are seen tapping both henchmen on their backs. It seems the leprechaun made his hands grow bigger. So the men turn and see the leprechaun smiling at them. We then see this leprechaun make a very angry face, and then he quickly wraps his hands around both men's necks. Then the leprechaun is seen using his extended arms and big hands to ram their heads together. He is now seen doing that many times as he says, "Where's me gold? Where's me gold? Tell me, you thief of bold." Now it looks as though the leprechaun has killed these men, so he drops them and shrinks his limbs to normal size. We then see a huge shadow appear right behind the leprechaun as he faces away from it. Then the leprechaun is seen turning to face the very tall man, and the leprechaun appears to be in shock. Now the tall man backhands the leprechaun to his face, and this little guy is seen hitting a side wall. Yes, it appears that the tall man is very strong. Then the leprechaun is seen getting up and he shakes it off. We then see the leprechaun reply, "A strong you surely are, no mortal man could hurl me far." Now the tall man makes a smile as the 4 golden spears appear above him. The leprechaun then replies, "My gold," and he quickly charges the tall man. We then see the leprechaun punch the tall man's kneecaps, and that evil mortician falls to the ground. The leprechaun then rushes to the tall man's face and begins to kick him in it. Now the tall man is seen grabbing the leprechaun's legs and he throws the little guy across the room. We then see the leprechaun look into the dimension portal room as he gets back up. Then the tall man is seen looking up at the spears, and those golden balls suddenly attack the leprechaun. We then see these spears dig their cutting weapons into the leprechaun's heads. So sharp blades are now cutting the little green guy. Well, stay tuned for part 2 of this exciting story epic.